I'm here.
Mr. Conti?
Here.
Ms. Cusinelli?
Here.
Mr. Panucci? Ms. Studer?
Here.
Mr. Reed?
Here.
Ms. Cantillo?
Here. Mr. Edwards?
The New Jersey Open Publics Meeting Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this Act, the Brick Township Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be posted on the Administration Office Bulletin Board, the official district website, and Channel BTV 20, and sent to the Asbury Park Press, the Brick Times, the Star Ledger, and Municipal Clerk's Office.
Thank you, Mr. Edwards. Do I have a motion and a second to enter executive session?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Reed.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Conti.
Whereas the Brick Township Board of Education has been formed pursuant to applicable New Jersey statutes, and whereas the board is charged with the responsibility of performing all acts and doing all things consistent with laws and the rules of the State Board of Education necessary for the lawful and proper conduct, equipment, and maintenance of the public schools and public school property of the Brick Township School District. Whereas Section 7 of the Open Publics Meeting Act permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting of the board in certain circumstances, and whereas the board has determined that circumstances exist for such an executive session, and whereas the board has found the action described below to be necessary and proper, now therefore be it resolved by the board on June 26, 2014, that the public shall be excluded from the discussion of and action on the executive session herein set forth. The session will be approximately 15 minutes, and the general nature of the subject matter to be discussed is a student matter. It is anticipated at this time that the above stated subject matter will be made public if and when it is deemed to be in the public interest to do so, and the need for confidentiality is no longer required by the board.
Thank you, Mr. Edwards.
Mr. Talty?
Yes. Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Ms. Cusinelli?
Yes.
Ms. Studer?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Ms. Cantillo?
Yes. Thank you, Mrs. Perry. I'd like a motion to come back into public session.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Reed.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Cusinelli. Mrs. Carey.
Mr. Talty?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Ms. Cusinelli?
Yes.
Ms. Studer?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Ms. Cantillo?
Yes. At this time, I'd like to call up our Ocean County prosecutor, Mr. Joseph Coronado. If you would like to start our presentation.
I'd be happy to. Help.
Yes, it would. Thank you.
Well, again, thank you for the opportunity to address the board and also members of the public. As the President had indicated, my name is Joe Coronado, and I am the Ocean County prosecutor. A little over a year ago, I became the prosecutor of Ocean County, and within a relatively short period of time of becoming prosecutor, we had 8 overdose deaths in 7 days. It became apparent to me that we had a substance abuse problem. I know that of those 8 deaths, they were all under the age of 25. It was all heroin. We had one young girl who was 19 years old who was doing 50 packs of heroin a day with Rick. She died doing 25 in the morning and 25 at night. It became apparent to me that as a prosecutor that my job is not only about, we weren't going to just arrest our way out of this problem, that we need to educate, we need to go into the school system, and we need to do something about it. And what we've done is that we've started to put together videos. The first video, which is on our website, was done by Point Pleasant High School and a professional video company. And I'm very proud of that video. It talks about how teenagers, high school students, how they get involved in drugs. And it's really high school students telling high school students not to do it. We decided we were going to do, as I said, we were doing a series of these. I really kind of hoped we would be able to do 12 or 14 of them. And the next one was drinking and driving, and it was related to the prom. We were fortunate enough to be invited to come to Brick, Councilor Lena and Laura, who really embraced the idea. And we did another video. Again, these videos are called Right Turns, and we want to show that tonight. Very proud of it. I know I have your movie stars here that helped us out with it, and I also have Laura Cafano, who happens to be down here. It was her company, it was a video company that helped us out with this video. So I guess what I'd like to do is show you the video, show you the product that was produced by your students, and then we can finish up a couple minutes after. So, roll it, so to speak.
Another change of season slipping through my life. I can't recall believing that I'd make it here alive.
Hi, I'm Al Leiter, two-time World Series champion. I pitched for the Mets and the Yankees, and now I'm a baseball analyst for MLB Network and Yes Network. Like you, I'm from Ocean County. I grew up in Berkeley Township, and I went to Central Regional High School. The Ocean County Prosecutor's Office has developed a video we'd like you to watch and remember. Too many tragedies occur when a driver of a car acts irresponsibly. Drinking or texting while driving or speeding are choices, and their consequences are avoidable. We want you to enjoy going out with your friends and doing the things that you love, but we want you to think hard each time you get behind the wheel of a car. And if you're a passenger in a car, if you see this type of behavior, it's okay to speak up. Please remember, always drive safely.
Hey, Rory.
Jim, you ready for that chem test today?
You ready for prom?
What are you asking?
I want to know if you want to have a wonderful time, the night of your life. I want to know if you want to go to prom with me.
Jim, I'm really sorry, but I'm already going to prom with Kurt. Thank you for asking.
So you think Rory's going to be at the after party?
Everyone's going to be there.
Think she's going to bring her chess club date?
Doesn't matter to me. I'm going to Ben Schramer's for the beverages and the fine conversation.
Dude, don't drink your sorrows away in front of her. That's embarrassing. Dude, are you sure you're okay to drive?
Sure, I'm sure.
How many beers have you had? Like 4?
And I could have 4 more, see? Wouldn't make a difference. I got something they like to call a high tolerance.
Whatever you say, man.
What's the next thing you remember?
I don't know. Waking up, maybe? I remember tasting blood in my mouth. Everything felt kinda swimmy. I turned and saw Buddy. I tried to wake him up, but the dashboard was pressed against his chest, pinning him to the seat. The car that we hit, or hit us, I'm not really sure, was still there. I couldn't see if the driver was alright.
And why is that?
There's too much blood on the windshield. It blocked out everything. Can I go home yet?
There was one fatality at the scene. 2 other victims are now in the hospital in critical condition. And you were driving with a blood alcohol level of 0.08. Not that it matters since you're only 18.
Somebody died?
Your parents are on the way. We'll let you know when they're here.
Hello? Don't I get a phone call or something?
have something to show you. Something to show you.
Rory, is that you? What are you?
I'm dead, thanks to you.
Where the hell are we?
Both his thigh bones are crushed, internal bleeding, 4 cracked ribs and a damaged breastplate. And worst of all, his lower spine. He's paralyzed from the waist down. No more college scholarships for Buddy. No more going to the bathroom without help either for the rest of his life. It doesn't end there. Buddy's little brother, you know, Aiden, he's going to try drugs to deal with the emotional pain from this night. Buddy's parents, finances, and marriage are going to suffer from here on out for the rest of their lives.
Please, stop. No more. Whatever you're doing is making me sick.
I'm just making you see the consequences of your actions. It's making me sick, too.
Who's that?
Mr. and Mrs. Blackwood, my date's parents. He died 6 minutes ago on the operating table. Mrs. Blackwood, a recovering alcoholic, after tonight is going to start drinking again. 3 months, Mr. Blackwood is going to have a stroke, brought on by the stress of losing his only son and watching his wife fall off the wagon.
We're at school?
Thank you for asking. I actually didn't have a date with Kurt yet. I asked him that afternoon.
Then why did you say no?
Jim, I know you. You drink a lot. Every weekend, every party. But you never let anyone else drive you home.
Then why didn't you tell me that? Why didn't you say something?
You wouldn't have heard me anyway. It's like hearing whispers from a ghost.
Where the hell are we?
I'm embarrassed that you asked me, Rory.
And why is that?
I've had a crush on you since the 3rd grade. I should have asked you.
Why didn't you?
I just thought...
Where are we?
At the intersection of Route 70 and Chambers Bridge, where I died. You're at the hospital getting checked out. They've already carted off Buddy and Kurt. I'm the last one.
Why's that?
I died on impact.
I can't believe this is all because of me.
Dude, are you sure you're okay to drive?
my son James on May 13th, 2011. It was 11 days before his 18th birthday. He was a backseat passenger in a car with his seatbelt on. The driver was not drinking. He had his license for 30 days, but he was speeding at some points, doing in excess of 120 miles an hour. That was my reality. My life became a nightmare. It does and can happen to anybody, and we have to be more responsible with our decisions. When we get into a vehicle, that's a weapon. We are responsible for the lives of the people in our vehicle and for the other people on the road. We'll never be the same people we were before that day. When I dream of my son now, it's beautiful, he's in my dream, and when I wake up, my reality is the nightmare. So when you have a dream and you wake up all relieved that whatever happened bad didn't happen, my life is the opposite.
My name is Joe Coronado. I'm the Ocean County prosecutor. I'd like to thank everybody involved in this production. The intent here is to save a life. The teenager has to understand the consequences of their action. Drinking and driving, texting, and high speed can only lead to one result, and that is the death of somebody.
Another change of season, slipping through my life. I can't recall believing that I'd make it here alive. Steady wind is blowing, clouds don't look the same.
It's about kids telling kids, and it's also about listening to mom. One of the things that I always thought was is that, you know, whether you listen to a teacher, whether you listen to a prosecutor, you may listen to a mom. And that's why Christine, at the very end, in my opinion, gives that powerful impact, because it's reality. But we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the fact that we had Nina and Laura, and also the students here from Brick. So if we can have them step up here for a minute, that'd be great. I have Mike Cuomo here. He's an agent. Mike should be familiar. He was a lieutenant in Point Pleasant, where I was the prosecutor. When he retired, I became prosecutor. I was fortunate enough that he would want to come aboard. He's an agent in my juvenile section, and we do have some kids here that we want to present to everybody. They're now part of my office. They're helping us send a message, not only here in Brick, but throughout Ocean County, that there is repercussions for drinking and driving. And as I told them, they are my movie stars, so to speak, as we go through there. And hopefully we're on the YouTube with this. It is being shown. The whole thing is to be able to turn it out. Once you produce these videos, it's now incumbent upon us to get them into the schools, to get them out there. Hopefully, we'll be fortunate that it will go viral. That it not only have an effect in Brick, not only have an effect in Ocean County, hopefully it'll have an effect in New Jersey. Wouldn't it be great to have an effect across the nation? Because it's not something that's unique in our hometown here. It really does spread all over. So, again, this is a message. We're going to do a series of these. Again, we invite you to go to our website, the one that we have about drugs, how drugs get into schools, how it comes in. It's another powerful one that we're very proud of, and I'm really very, very proudful of all these individuals. And Laura, just step down for 1 second, Laura Tufano. She is the videographer. She's the company that has been working with us, and you can see that when you have a professional company and professional students, okay, the work product is tremendous. And again, I extend my thanks to not only to the school system, but to Board of Ed for allowing us to be here tonight, and to also acknowledge the great work that your students are doing.
And Mr. Coronado, thank you very much for your efforts and for doing everything you can to keep our students safe. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. This time, I would like to call up two very, very special gentlemen. We are very, very proud and very thankful to our Brick Township Chamber of Commerce. I have an Outstanding Achievement Award to present to Mr. Lau and Mr. O'Hare. I would just like to say that every year, our Chamber of Commerce goes above and beyond to provide our students with scholarships and opportunity. I believe this year we did $22,000 in scholarships, which is phenomenal. And I'd just like to tell you on behalf of the Board of Education, we greatly appreciate all of your efforts. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. On behalf of the Chamber of Commerce and its Educational Foundation, we gladly accept this recognition, although we certainly don't do it for the recognition. We have literally dozens of business owners in this community who feel so strongly about the Chamber of Commerce and its Educational Foundation and what it can provide to the community and to its students. It's just a thrill and an honor to be part of it and to work alongside members of the business community that feel as strongly as Rich and I do. Over the past 10 years or so, we have donated more than $150,000 in scholarships to local students, including $22,000 this past year. Of the $22,000, $12,000 came from private donations from business owners. We're always looking for more. We're always looking to increase the visibility of our the charitable arm of the Educational Foundation. So hopefully this recognition tonight will help the cause of getting the word out just a little bit more, to increase the recognition, to increase the awareness that business leaders and owners in the community can donate to help local students to achieve their scholastic dreams. So again, thank you.
Through private donations from businesses, but I will also say our one benefit a year is a 50-50 with a $100 raffle ticket, which I enveloped up this afternoon, and I have Mr. Conti's. Board member Conti, who I am sure will be happy to sell them.
Appreciate it. Absolutely.
But again, thank you very much
Get
for the honor.
Get them while they're hot.
It is an honor. We appreciate it. And again, like Lincoln said, we do take every opportunity to get the word out to our fellow businesses that we appreciate our relationship with the Board of Education, with the students, with the parents. It's a lot more than just doing business. It's about giving back to the community and also developing a better community, not only in Brick, but in Ocean County going forward for our students. Thank you very much.
Thank you again. It is with great pleasure that I call up our one and only Brick Memorial High School cheerleading coach, Mrs. Hanchin.
Good evening. On behalf of my staff, I would like to say thank you to the Board of Education for honoring the cheerleaders this evening. As many people know, cheerleading is not a sport yet in the state of New Jersey. It could be coming soon. And it's not very often that people take the time to recognize the young ladies and young men of our program for their hard work and dedication. So it is with, again, heartfelt thanks that you have us here this evening. I'm very proud and honored to recognize the 2013-2014 BTMHS Competition Cheerleading Squad for their accomplishments. When we began, we were a group of 22 young ladies with one gentleman, which does not make us co-ed. So I reached out to the girls and said, if we are to compete co-ed, we need more boys. So with that, we took on 2 more boys for a total of 3. So we had 23 young ladies and 3 gentlemen to round out our squad. They worked diligently for many, many months. And as a matter of fact, when we brought on our last gentleman, I said to him, so what do you think? He said, oh, this is harder than football. And I said, yes, it is, because if it were easy, more of our football players would be part of our program. So with that said, I would like to first bring up our assistant coaches, Miss Jacqueline Marousis Bush. She's been an assistant coach in our program for 6 years, but all told, she's been part of BTMH cheerleading from, well, actually she was our second mascot when she was 4 years old. So we won't reveal her age, but for a number of years. And our volunteer assistant coach this year, Miss Kate Rigby. We participated in local competitions, and then we made our way down to Williamsburg, Virginia, where in our 2-day competition, the squad performed very well, and they earned the title of first place in their co-ed division, and then first place in their level, which earned them the title of national championship. So a big round of applause for our cheerleading squad, competitive cheerleading squad. Matt, you have the banner, correct? And Tyler, you have the trophy? Would you kindly bring those up at this time? And our 2 seniors that are here this evening also have plaques that we would like to share with everyone. Not only did we win our division and national championship in our level, we also were named Best Tumbling Squad and Best Tosses. So that was very exciting for us. And I am also proud to announce that Miss Coach Rigby and Coach Marousis Bush will be moving forward as the head coach and assistant coach for the BTMHS program, as I have officially retired after 30 years and of hard work and dedication to our school. So at this time, ladies, we would like to present, and gentlemen, of course, we would like to present you with your certificates. And it reads, the Brick Township Board of Education Outstanding Achievement Award presented to, and this one's for me, head coach. Thank you again. And this one is to our assistant coach, Jackie Marousis Bush. And assistant coach, Rigby. And we would like to present the cheerleaders.
Stephanie Barneman.
Desiree Barnes. Kept calling her Desiree. When I saw her tonight, I called her Destiny, and then you go and call her Desiree. Destiny Barnes.
Caitlin Alamo.
Gia Fontana.
Matt Cristofaro.
Julia Hanneman. Adam.
Diana Lois.
Alexa Lombardi.
Paige McDowell.
Elise Mention.
Gabby Messick. Hunter Platt. Caitlin Scala.
Taylor Strife.
And Tyler Zambella. Not able to be here this evening, Sammy Voss. Our third male, Tyler Sewell. Alana Stevens. Caitlin Shaughnessy. Tess Riley. Gianna Kuhn. Cassidy Kane. Casey Jazikoff. Jenna Clayton. And Caitlin Cherico. Before we dismiss our group, we have another presentation that we would like to make. At the end of this year, we have several seniors. We have Step Forward seniors, Tyler Zambella, Hunter Platt, Gia Fontana, Alana Stevens, and Sammy Voss. And we established the Gia Fontana Spirit Award of Excellence. Gia's a 4-year varsity cheerleader at Brick Township Memorial High School. She embodies all that there is to be had for the spirit of cheerleading. And so we established this award, and this is the first time that she's seeing this plaque with her name on it, so she's going to open it up and then read it for everyone. And we also have here with us this evening our first recipient. So I just want to thank you for giving us this opportunity so that we can present this as well to the public. Here you go, Miss Gia. You're welcome. This is her first time seeing this.
BTMHS Cheerleading, Gia Fontana Spirit Award, given to those who embody the same spirit for cheer as Gia did from 2010 to 2014 as a BTMHS cheerleader. Spirit at its best.
And that will hang in our, outside our gymnasium or in our gymnasium, wherever we see fit, forever. And then we'll just keep adding people, all right? And she's gonna read the first, we're cheerleaders, so we like pictures. She's gonna read the first honoree.
Diana Lois.
as we come to an official conclusion for the 2013-2014 year, we could not have asked for a better group to work with this year, and your hard work and your dedication certainly paid off. 2 great assistant coaches. I'm at the end of my journey here. I'm so excited to go this way, and thank you again for having us. We're so honored and so proud. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, girls. Congratulations.
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 Congratulations. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, girls. Coach.
Thank you, Mrs. Hampton.
You look like
You're going to be missed.
you're young. Congratulations.
Set the bar high.
Good luck.
Dr. Caldez, would you like to present your awards?
Good evening. Thank the Board of Education tonight for giving us opportunity to honor our spring sports athletes that we had in the fall and winter. Tonight, Brickell Memorial High School, very fortunate to have Coach Pat O'Donnell here that's going to present our spring boys and girls track awards. Coach?
I'd like to thank the board for allowing us to give the opportunity to recognize the hard work that these athletes put in. This is my 3rd season at the helm of the track team, and these kids are really working hard, and we've had our best season in school history by quite a bit this spring. And I'm going to start with the 4x400 meter team. They had a real special season. They're all seniors, so we're losing all of them, so it's going to be real tough to replace them. But they worked hard, and in the last possible opportunity, they qualified for nationals. And they, a week and a half ago, they were down in North Carolina competing well, wearing the green and gold. And they had great times, a great experience for them. And I'm going to start with those 4 individuals. They're all seniors. Kevin Beltry, County 4x400, and he also got it in the 1600. Brian Reese. Logan Zielinski. And Tristan Gibson. He also honored in the 100-meter dash, second team. And then on the field event side, we have a kid who really worked his butt off, and late in the season, he started throwing bombs in the shot put. His name's Adam May. He was 3rd team Ocean County all shot put. He's only a sophomore, so we got 2 more years with him. And then on the girls' side, we have 2 young ladies who are not here, but they had really good seasons. Senior Kate LaPuma, 3rd team for the 1600, and a sophomore Emily Clayton. She got 3rd team for the high jump and 2nd team for the hurdles. So I just want to congratulate all these athletes.
Good job, guys. Good job, guys. The guy called back.
Okay, I'd like to recognize with our girls softball team Jessica Borman, 1st team All A South as the designated player. Jessica tonight, unfortunately for softball and baseball, they're all playing summer ball, so they will not be here, but I am going to go also to baseball to recognize them publicly. Baseball 3rd team All County, Ian Ambrosia, Brick Memorial. Tyler Goodman, third team All-County. Joe Traficana, third team All-County. Matt Cathy, second team All-County. Brian Markowski, first team All-County. And Kyle Kyla, he made first team All-County, second team All-Group 4, second team All-Shore as the designated hitter, and first team All-A South. And like I said, all the boys are playing in Summer League games tonight. Next, I'd like to introduce Coach Brent Middlemas from our boys lacrosse team to present.
Thank you, Dr. Caldez. We had our second winning season in program history. I recognize 3 seniors. 2 of you could not be here because of vacation and work. First up is Christian McGrady, who was an honorable mention all-division player, and he'll be continuing his lacrosse career at OCC. Next we have Jake Lombardo, who was second team all-division defenseman. He'll be continuing his football and lacrosse career at Union College. And lastly, something that I'm extra proud of is Griffin Carney was honorable mention all-division, and he was recipient of the U.S. Lacrosse Academic All-American Award, the first one in Brickell Township history to receive it, not only recognizing his academic success, but also his athletic success on the lacrosse field, and he'll be going to Boston College.
I'd like to thank the Board of Education for tonight honoring our spring athletes and also do it in the past our fall, winter, and hopefully we can continue this to give the recognition to these fine athletes for all their time and effort that they put in. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Caldez. Our athletic director, Mr. Rick Hanchin for Brick Township High School.
Thank you, Ms. Cantillo. Board of Education, thank you very much again for putting on this fine program for our student athletes. I know they appreciate it, their parents appreciate it, and I definitely appreciate it. Thank you.
This is a local share, so that's 60% of 19 million.
We have several athletes that aren't here tonight, echoing what Dr. Caldez said about playing baseball, the Carpenter Cup for softball, and the American Legion leagues going on. So I'm going to read off the athletes that aren't here first. I'll tell you their honor that they received, and then the last couple we have here tonight. The boys track, Robert Peterson, as a sophomore, was selected to the second team All-County in the 3,200 meter. In softball, Jessica McDonough, selected to the first team A South Division, third team All-County, and All-Shore honorable mention. In baseball, Carmen Sclafani, selected to the third team All-Shore, first team All-County, and first team A South. Evan Lobato was third team All-Shore, first team A South, second team All-County, and he was a Carpenter Cup selection, which is a prestigious team to be playing on. Nick Zabranik was selected to the second team All-County, and the last 4 players were all third team All-County: Matt Olson, Brian Gallagher, Dan Berg, and Stefan Cole. Okay, the 2 athletes that are here tonight, the first one is a female who played on the boys golf team. This young woman, I got a chance to play golf with her this year, and the first time I saw her swing the golf club, I said, she's got as nice a swing as any professional golfer on the LPGA Tour. And she's the first female golfer to receive first team All-Shore and first team All-County honors in the history of the school. It's amazing. And the good thing for our golf coach and myself, she's only a junior, so she'll be coming back next year. Chrissy, come on up, please. Chrissy, where's your mic? And this next athlete, the Board of Ed will remember him from the winter. He was an outstanding ice hockey player. And in boys lacrosse, he was selected to the first team A-South and the third team All-Shore. He was also the leading scorer with 166 goals and 177 assists in his career, four-year career here at Brick Township High School. And at the end of the season, his number was retired. David Kearns. Okay, thank you very much for having us.
Thank you, Mr. Hanchin. At this time, we're going to proceed with our approval of minutes. In case anyone is wondering, our superintendent is not here tonight. Dr. Morgan's not here, and Mr. McFadden is not here. We have had quite a virus run through central administration, so we're going to, Mr. Edwards and I are going to try to get along without him tonight. Starting out with our approval of minutes, May 12th, 2014, Executive Session 1. May 29th regular meeting, and May 29th, 2014 executive session. Do I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr.
Second.
Reed. Thank you, Mrs. Cusinelli. Are there any questions on these minutes? Seeing none. Mrs. Carey?
Mr. Talty?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Abstain on number 1, yes on 2 and 3.
Ms. Cusinelli?
Yes.
Ms. Suter?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Ms. Cantillo?
Yes. We are going to forego our committee reports tonight and obviously not have a superintendent's report. Mr. Edwards, do you want to present C&I?
Yes, thank you, Mrs. Cantillo. This evening, the superintendent would like to recommend items 1 through, excuse me, my computer catches up here, 1 through 10.
Thank you, Mr. Edwards. Do I have a motion and a second?
Motion.
Thank you, Mr. Conti.
I'll second.
Thank you, Mrs. Suter. Do any board members have any questions on items 1 through 10?
I just have a comment.
Yes.
I just wanted to draw attention to number 8. The Brick Police Department, the Town Council, and the Mayor have funded this program to bring it into both of our middle schools, and it is a substance-aware program. And it's different in that it's the students talking to students about drugs and the importance of staying away from it, of course. But I just really wanted to thank Mrs. Ponterero, who's here, and the Town Council, the Mayor, the Brick Police Department, Dr. Anderson, Mrs. Concianis. I really think maybe this will benefit the children in the middle school. There is no program besides the drug awareness in the health program. So I think this is a great program, and I really just wanted to thank you for bringing it to us and working with us, with the students. So thank you.
Any other comments from board members? Do I have any questions from the public on items 1 through 10? Seeing none. Mrs. Carey?
Mr. Talty?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Ms. Cusinelli?
Yes.
Ms. Suter?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Ms. Cantillo?
Yes. At this time, I was just made aware that Mr. Reed does have a few things that he would like to share with our Facilities Committee.
Well, usually the Facilities Committee report is quite lengthy. You know, it's like 4 pages, but I want to make the community aware how much we're spending on facilities improvements. We just did secure funding. We're going to be doing overall about $16 million worth of projects on all the schools, and we got approval from the state on a financing plan whereby we're borrowing $11 million, which is our share. They call it the local share because some of these projects are funded through grants from the state, where the state pays 40% of the projects. So the finance rate that we secured on that borrowing was 1.193%. So even though we're borrowing the money, it's at a very low rate of interest. So we're taking advantage of the low interest rates to do a lot of facilities improvements to the schools. For those of you that are in the schools and see all the work we're doing, there's 22 projects that this local financing will help us pay for over the next 5 years. So, you know, one of our commitments was to do a lot to fix the facility. Since we couldn't do it with a referendum, we have to do it with our local share within the budget and within our borrowing capacity. And I think, you know, we've accomplished a lot of that. And right here at Brick Township High School, we finished the doors, we finished the windows, we put in new classrooms, and now we're fixing roofs and putting in emergency lighting and fire alarms in a lot of the schools. So we are spending a lot of money on the facilities. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reed. Mr. Edwards, would you like to present operations?
Me again?
Yes, you again. Unless you want me to do it.
Superintendent would like to recommend items 1 through 40 under operations. 1 through 40.
Mr. Edwards. Do I have a motion and a second for items 1 through 40?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Mrs.
Second.
Suter. Thank you, Mr. Reed. Do I have any questions from Mrs. Cusinelli?
I just, quick question in number 1. Mr. Edwards, could you just explain why we would have July transfers now, please?
Yes, the transfers that are there for July right now have to do with the NCLB and IDEA grant. Sorry, I'm trying to get these mics. I feel like I've got my back to you when I'm talking into it, and this one won't stretch far enough. So different this year than has ever been done in the past. In the past, the NCLB and IDEA grants that we've received from the federal government, when we would submit our grants to them, and the Department of Education would review and do what's called a consistency check and give that back to us and say, we looked at your grant application, it looks good, you can proceed spending. And then they take that grant and bundle it through the Department of Education and submit it to the Federal Department of Education for review from the state of New Jersey. And then when they get their approval, it comes back to them and they would give us our ultimate approval. And we usually would get those sometime, it's happened anywhere from September all the way through till November. So we would be able to spend the grant funds prior to getting that approval, the ultimate approval, because we had the consistency check done. On June 10th this year, we were notified by the New Jersey Department of Education that they've been told that they can't do that any longer, so therefore we can't do that any longer. So now what we're doing is we're going to be required to spend monies that we had anticipated purchasing through one of the federal grants. We're going to be required to spend that money out of our local budget temporarily until such time we get the approval for either IDEA or NCLB. And then what we'll be doing is a disbursement adjustment, moving it from local fund 10 to 20, the grant, and then reversing these transfers that you're seeing now. So it's going to be an accounting nightmare.
So they're making it easy on us.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, awesome.
As I explained to the finance committee at our last meeting, is we're going to see a lot of transfers just trying to cover costs of things that normally would have been paid out of the grant that ultimately will be paid out of the grant.
Thank you. And I just had one other question directed to Mr. Edwards as well. In items 27 and 28, the language talks about being able to make purchases that are necessary, you know, I guess of more emergent nature, without advertising for bids. Is that something that has a monetary limit to those purchases?
Well, these aren't emergent purchases. 27 and 28 are, I got to remember the month. At some point last year, the Department of Community Affairs determined that we can't purchase off of a state co-op or a state contract without the Board of Education first approving the vendor. Because previously, we would have the board pass a resolution saying, Board of Education is going to be a member of the Middlesex Regional Educational Service Commission. And then any vendors that they went out to bid for through their co-op, we were able to buy from those vendors through that co-op. The DCA found that that wasn't tight enough. And so therefore they came out with guidance that said the board has to not only adopt a resolution to join the co-op, but also has to pass a resolution stating that the vendor you're buying from within that co-op has been approved by the board. So throughout the year last year, we would have you approve vendors as we were coming across them that we wanted to use that have already submitted bids through the co-op and have been approved by that co-op as the low bidder. Now what we're trying to do is put all that together in one resolution, encompassing everybody and everything that we can think of we'd possibly use for the entire school year of 2014-15, so that we don't have to inundate you every month with 4 or 5 vendors under these resolutions.
So there would never be a lower bidder because these are already through these consortiums and
they've already been bid. Right. All these consortiums and state contracts have already been put out to competitive bidding, and therefore we can buy from them without having to go through a competitive bidding process.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other, Mr. Reed?
For Mr. Edwards, I know we have number 30 on here for the workman's compensation third-party administrator. Where is the excess carrier on here?
Number 40, Mr. Reed. And that was just that, and the property and casualty insurance were added today once we received the actual quotes from the carriers.
We only have 30.
It only goes to 38 on ours.
Mine goes to 40.
No, I have 42.
Yeah, mine goes to 40.
I guess I got the short list.
No, I'm not logged in.
Yeah, number 40 is to approve premiums with State National.
Might not have been put on there because they're grayed out.
We have to log in.
Oh. Okay, I just want to make sure it's on there.
Yeah,
and what's the amount?
Item 40 is the approval of State National to provide the workman's comp reinsurance for 14-15. I'm giving you the Reader's Digest. It's a cost of $54,447, and the district would hold the first $1 million of stop loss.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Any other board members with a question? Mr. Conti?
Directed to Mr. Edwards. On number 35, the photography company, how long does our contract go through with them? And what's the flexibility of getting out of that contract?
The RFP that we did is a 2.5-year RFP. Unusual, we usually do 3 RFPs, but this one we did as a 2.5-year RFP because the committee that was formed last time we did this RFP felt that the school photography services should really end on December 31st. It really ties into how the yearbooks are done for both the middle school and the high school. I know I'm looking at Dr. Caldez, I know he was part of that committee. So this we've already gone through 2 1 years of that RFP, and this would be the final 6-month period. We're going to have to decide what we want to do going forward, starting January 1st, 2015. You know, how we want to award this and what services we want it to cover. If we want it to cover all of the elementary schools, all the middle schools and high schools. I know that, you know, last time we went through this, we had some recommendations of the committee that the elementary school school pictures not be covered by this service anymore, and that the PTAs perhaps could take that on. But then in discussions with the PTAs, we got feedback from them that they already do spring pictures and didn't want to do that. So we ended up including that in there for the elementary schools. And since then, I've heard from people that maybe they don't need to do that and they'd be interested in doing that again. So to answer your question, I know I gave you a long-winded answer. Answer your question, this RFP covers another 6 months. This would get us through December 31st.
December 31st, thereafter, January 1 of 15 is when we would look to revisit this, or?
Well, we'll look to revisit it sooner because we have to award it sometime in, say, December for a January 1 start.
All right. And we could have another consortium, a group again, that talks about what they kind of want for.
Yeah, I'm looking to Madam President, because I think the committee that looks at this service should probably be, I don't know, Dr. Uzinski, Lorraine Morgan, and Ted McFadden, because they're not here tonight. Just kidding. I'm just joking. No, I mean, I was the one who was fortunate enough to spearhead this committee last time, and it's not. It's a committee that, it's one of those unique things that we're involved in as a school district, because we make zero money on it. However, it's a service that, I have young kids at school as well. You want school pictures, right? And so picking the right school photographer is very important. So, however, it's one of those things that I really wish we weren't involved in, because it does cause a lot of grief.
Yeah. And is there an ability to give the schools autonomy?
We had that at one time in our history here, and let's just say it didn't work out so well. Okay. We had things were all over the street, Mr. Conti, where some schools were charging much more money for school pictures than others, and there just wasn't an equity. So it was. Well, the recommendation of that first committee, which I also somehow got brought into.
Maybe with all the articulation in the past few years, maybe we could revisit it.
I think we should, and I think you would be a perfect person to be on the committee.
I'm not volunteering. I'm just asking the questions. Thank you.
You're welcome, Mr. Conti. Anyone else on the board with a question? No more takers? Okay, I'll open it up to the public. Anyone with a question on items 1 through 40? Mr. Finelli.
Finelli, Meadowboy Drive. On number 7, everything in that contract says the dates run from September 4th, 2013 to June 30th, 2014. I don't know if you want to correct that or not. That's the way I read it.
Sorry, Mr. Finelli, I'm trying to catch up there. My computer's running a little slow.
Can't open mine.
That's the Department of Children and Facilities, Department of Children and Families, standard form agreement.
Yep. Okay, I finally got it open. Well, I'm not going to ask you to restate the question, because I'm not sure I understood it. That's correct. That's this past school year. That's the school year that we're just ending. That's correct. We are ratifying contract. Yeah, this is a contract with the Department of Children and Families. It's for students who are considered to be wards of the state. This is actually pretty timely for the Department of Families to get us this contract. In previous years, we've approved it 6 months after the school year has ended. So yeah, I know it looks strange, but we just got the contract from them for the 13-14 school year. And this is how they work, Mr. Finelli, because I know you'll appreciate this. They're very efficient with this. They sent us the contract, and then about a week later wanted to know why they hadn't had it back yet.
Okay. A quick question for you. Now that we have, let's go to number 18, the tax levy.
The overall levy is an increase from the levy from the year before.
Okay.
It's up, I think it was 0.58% if my memory serves me correctly, Mr. Reed, 0.58%, right?
I figured out about 589,000. I seem to recall the conversation we had a couple of months ago when you put out your initial budget. And remember I asked you about how did the money come out exactly the same? And the number we were throwing out was 96,046,000, and you told me how you developed the budget. But I seem to recall everybody saying that there was going to be no increase in the tax levy.
No, we never said no increase in the tax levy. No increase in the tax rate.
In the tax rate?
That's correct. Am I saying that correct, Mr. Reed?
Yes, the valuations in town went up by the same percentage. So there's no increase in the taxes per household based on the school budget, because the increase in the school budget is the same as the increase in the ratables. No. No, we lost like $350 million of ratables because of Sandy. So some of those homes went back up in value, even though they had been lowered because people went back in or fixed them up or whatever. So it went up about 0.5%. And that's what our budget went up, about 0.5%. So the net effect is there's no increase in taxes due to the school budget. So if the numerator goes up a little and the denominator goes up a little, and it's the same percentage, you remember from your algebra, you have the same result.
Okay, but you are in effect spending more money this year than you did last year.
Yes.
Okay. When you tell people at a meeting like this that there's no increase in the tax rateable, what do you think they think? My taxes are not going up. That's what they think.
The taxes are not going up due to the schools. That's true.
Well, the county is raising their taxes slightly.
So that your taxes will go up because of the county, yes.
The county is raising theirs slightly.
Mm-hmm.
The township is raising theirs slightly. I don't know about the fire district and everything else. The school district is also raising theirs because you're spending more money than you did last year.
You got the math wrong.
Collects the money for the school district. They don't decide what your rate is. They collect the money for the school district because they have to pay you what you say you need. Correct?
You know, I don't want to get in a debate with you, Mr. Finelli, but the math is that if your ratables increase and your spending increases at the same rate, there's no increase in the individual homeowner's taxes due to the school spending. Okay? That's the math. So if you want to talk about it later, but that's the math. The town's budget went up, and they just published it, 4%. So, and they told you how much more it would cost the average homeowner. Right?
And if I understand you correctly, and this will be the end of the discussion, the fact that the school district is spending more money this year than last year, and the township has to collect that money from the taxpayer to give you more money than they gave you last year, you're saying that has no impact on the taxpayers?
If the tax base went up, which it did. It went up approximately $60 million. Okay? So if you want to check with the tax assessor, I've done that. I've been through this for years. Okay? So if you, last year you were telling us it was going up 8%. I said it was an estimate. So we have a disagreement over the math. So if you want to carry on this discussion in front of the tax assessor, I think you're making a point here that's incorrect, and I'm trying to correct it, and you want to go back to your math, and it's not correct.
All right, so when my tax bill comes in that little box that says school tax, and that goes up, that what you're saying is that's not because you need more money to run the school district, that's because township raised rates.
If all those portions of your tax bill, which you just recited, the municipality, the county, the open space, the fire district, and the schools, if they all went up the same percentage that the tax rateable base went up, you would have a 0 increase. Okay? So our piece did not go up to raise your taxes.
46% of my taxes.
And it didn't go up because of the school budget, because it went up the same percentage as the ratables. So if you add more houses to the town, like the town did in the 50s and 60s, you have a higher base of ratables. No,
Okay.
it's not true.
Excuse me, I think it's been covered sufficiently. Anyone else with a question on items 1 to 40? Seeing none, Mrs. Carey?
Mr. Conte?
Yes.
Mr. Conte?
Yes to all, no on 29.
I'm sorry, no on 29?
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you. Mrs. Cusinelli?
Yes.
Ms. Suter?
No on 29, yes to everything else.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Ms. Cantillo?
Yes. Mr. Edwards?
My computer is running really, really slow, so let me catch up here. I went all the way up to number 7, and now I've got to go all the way back down. Yeah, Mr. LaFerge said that at the beginning of the meeting. He said, this computer is more than 10 years old. What are you still doing with it? I think he's right. I didn't agree with him until now. Okay, thank you. The superintendent recommends approval of items 1 through 49. 1 through 49 under HR.
Thank you, Mr. Edwards. Do I have a motion and a second for items 1 through 49?
Motion.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Conti and Mr. Reed. Do I have any questions from board members on these numbers? Seeing none, any questions from the public on items 1 through 49? Yes, ma'am? Can you please come to the podium and state your name and address?
Hi, my name is Sue Purcell. I'm the PTA president of Hospital Elementary School, and I'd like to request the transfer of Mrs. Purcell's I'm sorry. Okay, what else is my name
And address.
My address is 40 Bayview Drive, Brentwood, New Jersey. As I stated, I'm the PTA president at Osborneville Elementary School. We were just informed that our principal is being transferred to Emma, according to your agenda, which just came live on Monday. We have some questions. I think one of the greatest questions is why is she being transferred?
That would be a question that is personnel in nature, and I would not be able to discuss that in public.
Okay. I think one of our biggest concerns at the school is there's no continuity at the school. My daughter is going into the 4th grade. This will be her 3rd principal in 4 years. I understand you're not going to be able to answer my question in public, but is there any way to get that answer?
You know what? I would suggest possibly Monday giving Dr. Uzinski's office a call.
Okay.
His extension is 1032, and I am sure he'll be happy to speak with you about it.
Okay. Now the next question is who will be the new principal? It's not on the agenda that anybody's transferred into our school as a principal.
We are in the process of conducting interviews. The job's been posted, and we did a round of interviews this week. And I'm sorry that Dr. Uzinski isn't here due to an illness, but I am sure that a decision's going to be made in the next week or so. There's quite a few positions that are open and a lot of interviews that are going to take place. And I am not quite certain exactly. We're looking at a board retreat, and I haven't had a chance to speak to my board yet. before our next public meeting, but you will find out, I'm sure, once the boards and Dr. Uzinski's made a recommendation.
Okay, like I said, as the PTA president, now this affects our entire school year for next year, because we plan and meet with the principal over the summer, because we kick in before school even starts with our, what we do for the school, teacher elections and that kind of stuff. So, other than, say, call Dr. Uzinski on Monday to find out, like, is there any way, can we say by, like, yes, your school's going to have a principal by August 1st?
Oh, you will definitely have a principal by August 1st. You're not going to have to worry about being notified late. Dr. Uzinski will have everything in place. He will have his recommendations made very shortly. The only thing I can say to you is he wants to give everyone enough time to acclimate. He will do that, I'm going to tell you, probably within the next week. And I am sure that you will have more than enough time to meet with your new principal, and we appreciate everything that the PTAs and that everything that you do for our schools. We do not want you to think that we're not going to give you the opportunity to carry on the practices that you've been doing. There will be a seamless.
Okay, and I guess on a personal level, and as a school parent and part of our community, we as a parents of our school are devastated that our principal's leaving. Devastated. Because she has done so much for our school. Last year we had a very big transition in our school. Our student enrollment almost doubled overnight at the drop of a hat, and she made it seamless. I know there was issues and problems throughout the school year. By January, that school, there was no drop in education. All those children were learning, and that school was put together, and I just can't for the life of me figure out why we take her and move her. I mean, I understand you can't tell me that. And I don't know, as a parent, what I could do to make that different, to make your decision on her staying at our school be your decision. Because we don't want her to go. I don't even know how else to say it. I'm almost going to choke up because she's just a super person.
And I agree with you. Mrs. LaRusso is an excellent, excellent principal. And the superintendent has his reasons. He's not here, and it obviously isn't something that can be discussed in public, but I am sure he is doing what is in the best need of the district wide for everyone. I understand, believe me, I had children that went through the entire school system. They do get very attached to their principals. I understand that. I do understand that.
They don't have an opportunity to get attached to their principals because they're leaving every 2 years. And that's an issue and a problem in our school. When my daughter, who started in first grade at our school, had one principal. Second and third, another principal. She's going into fourth, she's going to get another principal. So there's no attachment because how can they be attached? They're always leaving, which is a problem. I don't understand why our school seems to be, our children don't get attached to the principal because they're always leaving. It's like a broken home. And I just, as a parent, it disgusts me. And I don't even know how to, other than say that it's disgusting. I just don't understand it. And I don't even know if there's an explanation that makes sense. But that's, and I'm not the only parent here tonight from our school. And, I don't sort of pick it. I don't even know if it's for them. So, okay, I guess you answered my questions. I will definitely be in touch with Dr. Uzinski, I'm sorry. And he's the bottom line. Like, you guys can't reconsider the transfer as a board.
Dr. Uzinski makes the recommendations to the board, and he gives us, his professional opinion, and that's what we have a superintendent for, his experience, his knowledge, and he has reasons why he's doing these different moves. And it's like hiring someone to do a job, and you hire them for their experience, you hire them for their knowledge, and then when they give that to you, you don't listen to them. You know, I understand how you feel. I don't know how else to explain it. If board members wanted to vote against it, they certainly have that right to do. But on the other hand, we did hire Dr. Uzinski. He is a very experienced educational leader. He has made everyone aware here of his decisions and reasons why. Every board member has the ability to call him at any time if they have questions. And yes, they do have the ability to vote no on it if they want to. But like I said, we have him to do a job. We have his expertise. And, you know, we follow his recommendations when we agree with them. And I don't know how else to explain it.
I understand what you're saying, and I'm asking you as a parent at Osborneville, as the PTA president of Osborneville, to you as individual board members. I understand that Dr. Uzinski is the superintendent and he made a recommendation, but I'm asking you to please think about his recommendation, please reconsider, and please let Mrs. Russo stay at our school.
Thank you for your comments. Does anyone else have a comment? Yes, ma'am. In the back.
Hi, my name is Jessica Dickman, 336 Church Road.
Could you speak up a little bit?
Jessica Dykeman, 336 Church Road. My daughter's in kindergarten at Osborneville School. I'm also a member of the PTA. Although my daughter just started this school, she got to know the principal. She was very personable. My husband is a police officer. There were several issues going on in the school, just random things. He spoke with her private about the issues, and he was very happy with how she handled the issues, followed up with him. And, you know, the kids just really gravitate towards her. They really enjoy her. She's very, you know, spirited. You can tell she really enjoys her job. And I mean, that's something that's hard to find. So we're coming in here, you know who we're going to get. There's no one even on the radar for us right now. So we're just asking that you as members of the community, you as parents, fellow parents, that you know, consider your decision. I know that you have an advisor, that Dr. Uzinski is your advisor, but I mean, you have the power to vote no to this decision. It's not just one person's decision. This is a lot of kids here, and it's very important to us that we keep her. So I'm just asking that you consider.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else with a question? Or Mr. Wait, excuse me, Mr. Finelli. Yes, ma'am.
My name's Eileen Legan. I'm 705 Revolutionary Road. And I was here at the end of last month, and I was talking to you about the honors physics program at Brick Memorial. And so I'm just coming to you with a little bit of follow-up on that. I wasn't really happy with the resolution. Well, there was no resolution. If you remember, I don't know for anybody that wasn't here, but the honors physics program, their teacher went out on medical leave for 6 weeks, the last 6 weeks, and they had the AP physics teaching the honors physics class for 6 weeks. And I had gone to Dr. Caldez, and that was the best they could come up with because they couldn't find a replacement. So Dr. Uzinski had asked me to call him the following day, which was Friday. Couple of things. The issue was never resolved. The kids taught the class for 6 weeks, yet the kids in the class were held accountable for a final exam and for all the testing. The parents were never informed. I mean, I came here because my daughter informed me, but even after talking to Dr. Caldez and Dr. Uzinski, the parents in the class were never informed. It's never brought to their attention. So it's concerning to me on a lot of levels. Dr. Uzinski took me 5 phone calls, and I didn't get in touch with him until the last week of school. So even though he told me he would call me the next day, I never got a phone call. And I had to chase him down 5 times to get it to him ear to ear. So as a parent, I'm concerned. Obviously, my daughter, the issue is done for her. It's years over, which was Dr. Uzinski's point when I did talk to him. But I'm concerned about going forward and what will be the resolution in the future. I have 4 kids in the school system. I've seen a lot of teachers on medical leave throughout the schools, 3 different schools I'm in. Sometimes it works, sometimes we don't get the best replacement. And I've never spoken up before. But this seemed particularly egregious to me to think that having kids teaching kids was the answer to a problem at an honors level. So what I'd like to see going forward is I have a proposal I'd like you to consider, and I have a question actually also at the end, but what I'd like to see going forward is a written policy stating that you will get a replacement for an extended leave, anything maybe over a week or whatever date we decided on, that you would get a teacher that has credentials in whatever field. I know they had an issue at the middle school this year where the Spanish teacher was going out on maternity leave and the replacement didn't speak Spanish. So I think you need to get replacements that have credentials in the field that they're going to be teaching. I think part of the policy has to state that parents will be informed either in email or in letter about who is replacing and what their credentials are so that we as parents will know what's going on and if need be get involved. And thirdly, I think that if you can't get a replacement for whatever reason, like with the physics, I get it was very difficult. Physics is a hard field to fill. That we as parents are informed of what the fix is and why the fix was that way. It feels like there's not a lot of follow-through or transparency. And I know Dr. Uzinski, when I did talk to him, he'd say, oh, this won't happen in the future, we will inform parents in the future, but I don't have a lot of faith that there's going to be a follow-through if there's not a written policy. Because next time it may be another parent or a different administrator. And I have talked to a lot of teachers. I know a lot of teachers throughout the 3 schools who have been in the system for a long time. Teachers don't want to leave their classes in inexperienced hands. They're as concerned too, but there's nothing for us as parents to go to. There's nothing for them to go to. So I'd like you to consider putting something in a written policy. So that brings me to my question. For the most part, I've been in the school system, and like I said, I have 4 kids here. I've had very good experience with it. But when there is an issue like this, I don't know what the procedure is for parents. So there really doesn't seem to be a procedure for us to get involved other than to come here and address you. So the PTAs are really, I've been involved in a lot of them, and they are great, but they're more like fundraising. So when there's an issue like this, how will I get follow-up? So in other words, I brought this to you. How do I get follow-up as a resolution? Either you've decided yay to put a policy in place, or no, you've decided not to. Like, how do I get that kind of feedback?
The only thing that I can say, we do have a policy committee. We do have a board member that meets with Dr. Uzinski on a regular basis. When you brought this issue last month, quite frankly, I was quite surprised, to say the least. None of us knew that this was going on. I do understand that physics is very hard to fill, and Dr. Caldez, maybe you can help me out with it. I don't know. You know, it's hard because when we're all together is really the only time that we're considered a board. When we are not together, we do meet in committee. What I can say is Mrs. Cusinelli is our board person, our board member that does work with Dr. Uzinski with policy. If you would like to email her, Mrs. Cusinelli, I'm sure you would follow up on whatever suggestions. Yes, if
just kcusinelli@brickschools.org. Also, sometimes, and this is one of those cases, there are already laws in place and regulations that have to be followed with how many days a teacher is out in relation to when you have to have someone in a subject area. There's a lot of, it's a lot more to it than what just seems the obvious, because what seems like logic and the obvious to us, when you start delving a little deeper, there's a lot more to it. So if you want to send me an email, what I'll do is you know, I of course will follow up with Dr. Uzinski, but I can also get you some of that information that may clarify some of what already exists that would not need to be reflected in a policy. But I understand what you're saying too.
Okay.
Okay.
Because I do know, I had actually contacted the state to see what the options were, and they said to try locally to resolve it and then follow it up to the county and then to the state if I don't get resolution. But obviously I'd rather resolve it at a local level. I don't want to see this happen. I want to see consistency that I can go to as a parent if this happens in another school with another administrator, and that the teachers can go to. You know, they're kind of stuck in the middle. I think this teacher did the best she could to try and set up what she could, but I think we can do better. But again, parents have to be informed. We have to all this. Parents were never told what was going on in our classrooms.
Okay.
That's just not acceptable. I'm a parent. I have a right to know, and the other parents have a right to know what the fix was and what the issue was going on in that classroom. So there has to be some kind of thing that we can go to and say that this is what we should follow. So I'll email you.
Please, please.
Thank you.
Excuse me? I wasn't sure if I was legally allowed to discuss something that we have not approved yet. We are in the discussion phase of answering your concerns. There is a company that we have consulted with that does provide substitute coverage, and that's all they do is provide substitute coverage. The teachers would be employees of theirs, and they do have teachers in certain subject areas, and they do cover all the subject areas. After your comments at the board meeting, we actually asked them to come in and give us a presentation. Mr. Reed wanted to speak about it. I didn't know whether we could because it hasn't been made final yet. But we did hear what you said. We are concerned about it, and Mr. Reed, if you want to just go over it, we did discuss it in our finance committee.
Yeah, we've had trouble getting substitutes, and obviously in the science areas it's the hardest. So this company has a big roster of substitutes that they hire and that work for that company, and they work in a number of school districts already. So they have a much bigger roster of substitutes that they could send to us in the future, and we're trying to work out the details so that they would provide our substitutes for this coming year. To address the question that you brought up.
Okay. And just so I know for future reference, if I ever have an issue in the future, what is the best way to bring an issue forward and then to also get follow through? Is it to come to the board like I did? Is it to pick a board member and email you? See, I want to know that you were necessarily the person to go to person. So how is the best way to
I
do
would,
this as a parent?
if I were you, I would contact the superintendent. Whether you would want to email him, so that there.
It took me 5 phone calls to just get an answer.
And you know what? I have to tell you, I think, in my opinion, it was just the timing, the time of the year, ending of school and graduation and everything going on. I have to tell you that Dr. Uzinski is very, very good about getting back to parents, and frankly, I'm surprised that it did take that long. I know that there were a few days where he was out sick.
Sure.
So, you know, I don't know what the reason was why it did take 5 phone calls, but I will tell you he is very, very good about getting back to parents. But my suggestion would be email him first and go from there.
And go from there.
Okay. But thank you very much for coming and following up on it with us. Any other questions? Mr. Finelli?
The first question also had to do with number 22 transfers, administrators. Go to the first one on the list, somebody moving from an elementary school to a high school with an increase of $500 in salary.
That's a stipend, Mr. Finelli, that a high school principal gets. Contractual.
So if you move
if you go from a different level, if you go from an elementary to a middle to a high school, there's different stipends that are contractual.
Okay, so that would also be the same for item number 2? Emma Haynes Young, assistant principal to Brick High School assistant principal. That is a $1,935 increase.
Item number 2?
No, the second name on the list.
What number are you looking at? I'm sorry.
I'm looking at administrators.
22. Number 22.
22? Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't hear the number you said.
Still the stipend.
I can't open my,
Same thing, stipends.
it is? Okay, then, yeah, I can't open the PDF, so.
Assistant principal from Emma Haynes Young is moving to Brick Memorial High School and getting an increase of $1,935. Is that the same thing?
Yes.
Okay, is it reverse true?
No.
Go from one to the other?
No.
It's not?
No, when you receive that stipend, Mr. Philippone, help me out with this. When you receive that stipend, that stays with you regardless?
Okay, so if you do, these transfers are actually costing you more money to do these transfers, but you don't, it's only one way. You get more if you move up, but you don't get less if you move back. That's all I wanted to know. On item 45, that's the cafeteria workers bonus of $100. All right.
Yes.
I know what that was for. Somebody tell me again.
What it was for? Well, we've been, pushing hard on the cafeteria for 3 years to become profitable. So at our last finance committee meeting, using the football analogy, we had a big lead, and there was not enough time for the other team to score. So we're going to win. And since it is an enterprise operation, we are able to provide a bonus to the cafeteria workers. It was brought up, and then when the cafeteria manager recommended it, we decided to go along with it. Yes. Well, the year doesn't end, but if you have a big lead and there's not enough time to score 6 touchdowns in 30 seconds, the chances are you can't lose that lead. Well, has anybody been following my football analogy on the cafeteria for the last 3 years? So yes, we're going to be profitable in the cafeteria. Yes.
How many people is that?
About 47.
47? So $4,700?
That's good math. Yes. Yes, I think they did. Correct. Correct. Yes.
I just wanted to know what it was for.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes.
And I'm sure they have the added incentive that if they're not profitable, the state is going to come in and take the jobs away and bring in a third party.
That's why we've been emphasizing this for years.
All right, so that brings me down to item 47, and we're talking about the manager of food services, and there's a whole paragraph in there about a 5% merit bonus, but it doesn't say what that merit bonus is. I guess what that 5% merit bonus is based on.
It's worked out between the manager and the superintendent. It's discretionary.
It's discretionary, and this is really the only position in the school district that has that other than the superintendent?
Well, they have a separate contract since it is an enterprise operation and can generate a profit. That's the goal there. So you talked about incentivizing managers in the private industry, and that's what we're doing here because it is more like a private industry. Because if we didn't do it in-house, we'd have to do it outside, and they would have a profit motive.
There's a big difference between what we're paying the cafeteria workers and what we're paying the manager of the cafeteria that gets it's quite a large salary to quote-unquote do their job.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the public? Seeing none, Mrs. Carey?
Mr. Talty?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes, abstain on number 13.
Ms. Cusinelli?
Yes.
Ms. Suter?
No on number 22, and I abstain on 47.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Ms. Cantillo?
Yes. At this time, I'm going to open the comments up to my fellow board members. If anyone has anything that they'd like to share. Mrs. Cusinelli?
I just once again want to extend congratulations to all of our recent graduates. The 8th grade, yes, that's right. Everybody did an amazing job at both high school graduations and both 8th grade promotion services, all of the staff, from our administrators to our people within the building that helped so much with the the custodians. Just everything was so nice, and I think it honored our students very well, and I wish everybody the best of luck as they move forward.
Thank you, Mrs. Cusinelli. Mr. Conti?
Yeah, the big guy wanted me to tell everybody that
I was going to say, you have to do double duty tonight.
Not the big guy, the superintendent big guy, but the other big guy, Mr. Panucci. It's unfortunate that he can't be here tonight. He's attending a wake, so he apologizes for not being here. And I just want to echo Ms. Cusinelli's sentiments about the graduations and the promotion ceremonies. It's wonderful to see, whether it's 8 years, a culmination of 8 years, 8 hard years, or 9, if they've been in here for kindergarten, and then 12 or 13. For the high schools, it's an awesome achievement, and to see the smiles on the faces and just the juxtaposition of the 2 high schools. We had a pretty demure one here at Brick High School, and it was kind of like a frat party over at Memorial, but it just showed the personalities of the 2 graduating classes, which was very cool. And again, like Ms. Cusinelli said, all the best to them in their future endeavors.
Thank you, Mr. Conti. Any other board member? Mrs. Suter?
I just want to reiterate what Mrs. Cusinelli and Mr. Conti said. Mr. Philippone, Dr. Caldez, great job with the graduation. Dr. Anderson, you did a fabulous job, her and her staff. I was not able to attend the Vets Middle School promotion ceremony. I also wanted to mention, at the end of May, the Brick Township Drama Club put on a production of Broadway Through the Years. And I just really wanted to say that the girls did, well, the whole cast did a fabulous job. Thank you to Mrs. Best and Ms. Scipione for donating your time to putting this together. And I also wanted to mention the finale song that the performers put on. It was probably the most moving rendition of a song that I've ever heard. And they dedicated it to Valerie Napolitano, who was a paraprofessional who lost her life to cancer. It was absolutely beautiful. So I just wanted to mention that and thank Mrs. Best and Ms. Scipione again for the time that they put in on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Suter. Mr. Paulby?
Yes. I would also like to, excuse me, I would also like to echo the sentiments of my co-board members, Mr. Philippone, Mr. Caldez, Dr. Anderson, and Renee from Veterans. They did an excellent job of preparing the kids for their graduation, and the kids did they did a good job. I mean, the singing at both schools, the speeches. I thought that some of the speeches were extremely moving, at least for me. They had some deep movement, and I appreciated that. And since this is the end of the year, I'd like to take a moment to thank all the teachers, all of the teachers in this district, and all of the administrators who have done, in my opinion, an excellent job under adverse conditions sometimes throughout the year with some unexpected issues that came up. They did an excellent job, and I appreciate their efforts, and I wanted to say this publicly. Thank you.
Mr. Reed?
Yeah, I want to thank everybody for coming out. Every question's a good question, and it serves the purpose of answering questions that people at home might have and aren't here to ask those questions, so it is a service to those people. At the end of the school year, it's great to go to graduation and realize that everybody has a part in it in the district, the administrators, the teachers, the central administration, the custodial staff, the bus drivers, the cafeteria workers, the maintenance people. It's all a team. Everybody has to pull together if we want to improve the schools and improve the student performance. And I know on the board level, that's our goal here, to do it as efficiently as we can, and we are working on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reed. At this time, I'll open up the floor to the public for... Oh, sure. Thank you. I'm going to open the floor up to the public. Anyone with a question or comment, 5 minutes. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, Mary Lawrence, 75th Chingle Road, Tavern Road. I just want to thank the board. I was president of Project Graduation, and if you guys didn't improve our bus transportation, we never would have been able to get to the ship. So, Dr. Valdez, you're here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. The kids had a fabulous, fabulous time. It was a great night, and without all of you approving that, we never would have been able to go. So, again, my heartfelt thanks for providing the transportation for the kids. So, thank you.
Thanks for running it. Anyone else? Yes. Councilwoman Ponter, I never get your last name right.
You have to be 100% Italian.
Well, I am. I still can't do it.
No, excuse me. Mariana C. Ponter, 2347 Old Newport Avenue, Councilwoman in the Township of Brick. I'm here not only as a councilwoman, but as a mother, as a foster mother, and as a parent of a child in the Brick Township schools. This year, I had the fortune of being contacted by the Brick Township School and asked if I would participate in what was termed as a mentoring program to take a child who's interested in the field of law. I do run a law practice with my sister in addition to serving on council. And we were asked to take in this young woman who had a 3.8 grade average in English, Ms. Martinez. I took the opportunity to introduce her to the fields of not only law, but my work as well on council. I don't know if the board's aware of this program, but it had an impact on me, personally. First, I think it was great for the student. I think she learned a lot of what she may want to do with her life or may not want to do with her life after watching us for a few weeks. But more importantly, I thought that this would be a great opportunity to have for both of our high school students to come to the council and have a mentoring program with council, serving as interns for council members. Because I was approached by Brick Township School, I'm not aware if this is a program that goes on throughout both high schools, but this is something that council, I have brought it up with council, and council agrees that we would love to give that opportunity to the children who may be interested in serving in some form of government. And it's an opportunity that you would never get anywhere else. I know that my particular intern was absolutely fascinated by the governmental aspect of what I do. I think more than the law and divorce aspect of what I do, to be honest. So I wanted to bring that to your attention, that this program was absolutely fabulous, made a huge impact on me personally, and we're going to try to work together with the board, if the board accepts it, to open this up to all of our high school students who who may want to be exposed to the area of government and don't know how to get into it or don't know anyone that's serving in that capacity. So I want to thank specifically the Brick Township School for having such a program. I wish it would have been open to me when I was that age. The second issue is I serve as the liaison for the Mayor's Senior Advisory Committee, and the seniors in Brick have expressed to me repeatedly that they would like more training in the field of technology through the Board of Education. I am aware that there is a program. What I want to do is I want to figure out a way to make that information more accessible to our residents in our township, not only that live in the senior developments, we do have 11 in Brick, but also who live independently as well. So if I can be contacted by whomever would be the most appropriate so that I can get that information on our website, and just so that you know, when I asked the seniors if they were interested in such a program, out of all the programs I suggested, that was what they were most interested in. These are the people who do pay their property taxes, and so often we hear from the seniors, I have kids in school, what am I paying these taxes for? And when it comes to something like providing an education, it is now not an option to be versed in technology. You must be. And if you are a homebound senior, you absolutely should be. So I look forward to working with the board to implement what our seniors are asking me to bring to you, and also to thank you for all the work that you have done throughout the school year. And as because my son attends Emma Haven School in the first grade, and I can tell you that I appreciate the BEST program. The BEST program, the after-school program, allows working moms like myself to have their kids in a safe and secure environment and know that they're protected during times that we have to work to support our families. Thank you again.
Thank you very, very much. And I definitely will let Dr. Uzinski know exactly how successful that mentorship program was, and I thank you for doing that for us. Thank you very much. Anyone else with a comment or a question? Mr. Finelli?
Questions have to do with the meeting last week, town council meeting, the school board meeting. What necessitated having a meeting last week that I didn't know about?
I don't know why you didn't know about it.
Because I didn't go on the website last week, because I only go on when I want to get the agenda, so I didn't look at it. I was having trouble with my vote too, but other than that, how would I know there was a meeting?
Mr. Edwards?
Well, the meetings are posted on the website, and I'm trying to remember exactly when we posted that meeting. But the legal requirement is the meeting needs to be posted 48 hours prior to the meeting taking place. So other than checking, you'd have to check if you want. The Board of Education can have a meeting within 48 hours.
Okay, so if I didn't go on the school website for 2 days, then I wouldn't know about that meeting. That's what you're telling me.
Yeah, that could happen. It's unlikely that it will happen. I mean, typically the board, I'm trying to remember the June 18th meeting when it was posted. I want to say it was at least a week before, if not longer, that the meeting was up there and posted.
What necessitated having that meeting?
The board's goals and objectives. Ms. Cantillo, that's correct. That's what the
yes, Mr.
original.
Edwards. The New Jersey School Board Association sets up a program for us. We do several things to complete that program. One of them is goals and objectives. So, as you know, 4 board members constitutes a quorum. The only way that we can get together and share information is either board of a whole or a board retreat. And that's exactly what we had.
Was there a deadline where you had to have that submitted or something?
They try to have it, they would like to have it before June 30th. That's exactly what it was.
Voted on other things at the meeting.
Yes, we did.
To answer that,
About the things
sorry, I just looked up when the meeting was released. It was posted that June 18th meeting was advertised on June 14th.
4 days.
Right.
I don't look at the school board website. 4 days.
Actually, that's
But
June
now
18th.
I know
That's
I
when
need
they
to.
did
I wanna know.
release the agenda to public. When was it
Related to that
posted?
meeting, can somebody tell me what the superintendent's executive cabinet is?
Superintendent is putting together a group of administrators that he's going to meet with regularly and discuss things that, issues that come up, ways to problem solve and basically keep each other in the loop and do everything to improve the school system.
Calling that a cabinet? Look up the definition of cabinet in the dictionary. It's a council that advises the head of state or president.
Isn't he our head of state?
Mr.
Just my own joke.
Mr. Finelli, I'm sorry, I have to correct my date. I gave you the wrong date. I gave you June 14th. It was June 4th. The meeting was, as I said, 14th. June 14th is actually when the agenda was released on the website. The meeting posting was on the website on June 4th.
In that same agenda, manager of operational effectiveness, and it talked that supervises transportation and warehouse. What transportation is that? It's not busing, is it?
Yeah.
That-
What do you, wait, I didn't hear your question. What-
It's schools.
Manager of operational efficiencies.
Yes.
That's Mr. McFadden, whatever.
Yes.
Underneath that, it said he supervises transportation and warehouse services. I was just wondering what transportation that was.
It's our bus transportation. It's a position, a supervisory position. We had 2 radio dispatchers, and instead of having 2 radio dispatchers, when they reorganized basically the Office of Transportation, they had identified other needs and roles and responsibilities, and they did fill that with a different position.
So he's now the supervisor
She.
of transportation? Or
No, 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 no. No. You're talking about I'm not sure what position he's talking about.
Operational efficiencies.
No, he's not. He's talking about the transportation.
In the new organization chart that we have, the
'Cause there was-
transportation manager,
Yes.
Mr. San Giovanni, reports up through Mr. McFadden.
Okay, now there was another position that we approved that night
Yeah.
for transportation, so I'm not sure which
Within
one.
transportation.
I wasn't sure which one he was asking about.
Okay.
I just wanted to know what the structure is. When I read through this, we had Mr. San Giovanni, who was the manager of transportation.
Yes.
Getting a pretty large salary. And then we have somebody who handles special transportation, that's another person. And then I read this, it says, he's the manager of who supervises transportation and warehouse services. Somebody who makes significantly less than Mr. San Giovanni is now his supervisor, is that what this is?
No, no, he's not Mr. San Giovanni's supervisor.
Okay, so what transportation does he supervise? That's what I'm asking.
It's not a supervisory position. It's a managerial position that will report to the superintendent. If you look at all the overtime and substitutes and all the line items that both in facilities and transportation were way over budget, there could be a lot of efficiencies there. But somebody has to sit down and analyze it, go on bus runs, look at facilities. Somebody has to run around and do all that, and we need somebody to do that. So I actually requested that. I think there's money to be saved in that area.
The manager of transportation doesn't do that. The supervisor of transportation does.
Well, it's more of a district-wide operational efficiencies. So it encompasses facilities and transportation, everything that could make a more efficient operation. Okay, so it's not specific to those areas.
I guess I'm going to have to get one of these organizational charts and try to get home and really get it, see what it looks like. No, in the past I've asked for it, I said, well, if you want it, you have to put it over the question.
Well, organizational charts are one thing, but what you accomplish with the position is more important. So, you know, it was brought up at the meeting, which you weren't there. You know, what if we don't save any money in the operations? Then that would be a position that we didn't need in the future.
I'm just trying to understand it. So correct me if I'm wrong, you have somebody who manages the transportation on a day-to-day basis.
Mm-hmm.
You have somebody outside of that organization that's looking for ways to save money in that organization?
Well, it's a little bit more complicated. You know, we have the all the sports runs that come down through the athletic office, and then they have to be put out in you know, bus drivers and buses, and you know, we contracted out for middle school sports runs this past few years. So can we do that in-house and save money? That would be one of the questions.
My last question is have to do with the newspaper article and the brick patch that I saw this week, this Monday, that we were thinking about opening up a new, no, we're not thinking about opening up a new elementary school.
No, Mr. Finelli, we already have an elementary school that's open. We're just renaming it.
It's being used as an elementary school now?
The PLC, from its inception, was designated as an elementary school. It operates every day, has students in there every day, teachers in there every day, staff in there every day. We're just expanding and adding more students. But it was designated and has been an elementary school. We've just had kindergarten and preschool in there before, especially since our EEC is...
Primary Learning Center.
Yes. Just changing the name.
So now it's going to function as an elementary school.
It's going to have more than just kindergarten students.
So is that a yes?
I said it was designated as an elementary school from its inception. It is now going to house more than kindergarten students.
Okay.
So,
Say what I said again. Before it wasn't being used as an elementary school, now it's going to be used as an elementary school.
it's going to house more than kindergartners, yes.
Problem. Can't say yes? Get it.
I'm just answering the question.
Well, you didn't answer my question. My question was, and now it's going to be used as an elementary school. And you didn't say yes or no. That's a yes or no question. I think it is. It's
always been an elementary school.
I know what the article said, but it's his opinion. Forget it. I don't move on to my next question. Hundreds of school-age children will move into the new development. That's the one behind Shopway. And I read that in the article where it was an interview with the superintendent, who's not here tonight. Is that the school boards and school administration's feeling that hundreds of students are going to be there, or is that the report of the newspaper article stating that?
Well, Mr. Finelli, what I can tell you is we're looking at our long-range facility plan. And we do have housing units being built in brick. How many students are we going to get from there? I don't know. I don't know how many people are going to move in. I don't think anybody has a crystal ball to be able to predict that. But what our job is to make sure that we have the room, that we educate children appropriately, and we're prepared for whatever amount of students do come. Right now, our elementary schools are at capacity.
That was my next question. Both the article from the superintendent and the interview with you said our schools are at capacity. Really should say elementary schools, not all schools, just the elementary schools. Is that what you're saying?
Well, when Mr. Nee had asked me the question, the subject we were talking about was elementary. So yes, that's what we were referring to.
Both ways, yours and his said our schools are at capacity. It's really only the elementary schools.
That's what we were referring to.
All right. But I asked based on what student to teacher ratio you're using to make that comment that our schools are at capacity. Is it a 25-to-1 ratio, or 20-to-1, or 15-to-1, or what is it?
Mr. Finelli, like I said in the article, our buildings were built in the 50s and 60s. At that time, we didn't have the specialized programs that we have now. There are the same number of classrooms, but one classroom may be designated for 8 students because of a specialized program. Another classroom may be designated for 15 students. So back in the 50s and 60s, we didn't have those type of programs. Right now, we're giving an appropriate education to the students. We're giving them what they need, and that is using more space than, let's say, putting everybody in one classroom for 23 students. So right now, what we're trying to do is educate every student appropriately, giving them what they need.
This is being driven by special needs?
It's being driven by population, it's being driven by enrollment, and it is being driven by, you know, if we need a classroom for 8 students, we're going to use a classroom for 8 students.
Can I just pipe in real quick?
Yes.
Through the chair. Our schools were built, and the system that we have is from the industrial era. Okay, we're now in the 21st century. So whether a classroom is designated for 8 students or 23 students or 35 students, whatever it is, it's immaterial. We have to teach our kids to be 21st century learners. And by utilizing more space throughout our buildings, throughout our district, that's making what seemingly numbers-wise doesn't seem like a crunch, but to educate them properly, it is a crunch. So we're opening up this new school and this new, well, not a new school, but we're expanding the school so that we can meet those needs so that when our kids go out of Brick Township, that they are the 21st century learners that employers are going to expect of them. So.
I guess my question again, because I heard Ms. Cantillo say this is being driven by population, and our student population has gone down over 2,000 students in the last 10 years. Not up and down. There's been no growth. It's gone down. It's going to go away. 2,000 students out of the system. All right? And I haven't seen that number stabilize.
And I'll reiterate for one more time.
I haven't seen that number stabilize like we were told. It's continued to go down. The birth rates now are the lowest they've been in 25 years. So there really is no growth. In fact, if we really had a problem that was that bad, we've had an empty school sitting here for the last, since I've been coming to these meetings. I don't know how many schools we've been. So I guess my
The one that
question
needs
is,
mold remediation?
And what I'm getting is, my question is not answered. I'm getting what you want to say rather than what you want to answer my question.
No, I'm going to answer your question very, very simply. I'm going to answer your question very simply. In education, it has changed. It's not stagnant since the 1800s. It hasn't been stagnant since the 1800s. However, our buildings have been stagnant since the 1950s. So in an effort to bring our buildings up, which we can't change, right, because they exist, we're trying, the walls exist, but what we're trying to do is bring 21st century technology, teaching standards, you name it, into our classrooms. So if that means that not every single person is going to sit in those desk lines, like when, even me, you and I went to school, okay, then that's what we have to do, and that's what we should do to better Brick Township as a whole, as an entire community. So, I mean, I can't answer any more than that, but if you research educational pedagogy, it's rooted there, okay? And our administrator, our superintendent of schools, is telling us this is the direction that we need to go. I used to be an educational professional. I am no longer. None of us on here on the board are educational professionals, so we listen to the guidance of our superintendent and our administrators who are saying that this is the course that education should have taken years ago, okay? But we are getting there, and like Mr. Reed said, we're trying, and we're trying hard, and we learn something new every day. I hope everybody does in this district. I certainly do, okay? And we're trying to get better as we go on.
And I heard Mr. Reed say we're spending $16 million in capital improvements to improve the schools.
And it's a concerted effort. It's a concerted effort. I'm gonna throw out a rhetorical. You don't even have to answer this, okay? When you were working for Xerox, correct? Okay. When you were there in the workforce, did they sit you down in rows of 25 for your team? Did you have one classroom, small classroom, and you had desks in rows? I'm assuming you didn't. I'm assuming you didn't, right? So we're trying to get what is going to be mirrored when everyone in the world goes out to get a job, and we hope they get good paying jobs because they graduate with an excellent degree here at Brick Township, okay? We're trying to mirror that, and we're trying to help that along. And one of those options is obviously by creating more classroom space. So that may mean that less kids are in that classroom. Our population may not go up, but that means that possibly less kids, not special needs, not general ed, it's all ed. Okay, it's all education. That's what we're looking to get.
And I know your population's not going to grow. You and I both know that. My question is, by losing 2,000 students...
Mr. Finelli, I believe...
I wish I was clairvoyant.
I believe that the question's been answered to the best of our ability.
My question, Mrs. Cantillo, you did not answer one of the questions I asked you, and I asked you twice specifically, and you did not answer them. You skirted around each one of my questions. And I'm not going to allow that to happen anymore.
I'm sorry, Mr. Finelli. I'm sorry you feel that way. I gave you the best answer that I have.
And we work as a team, and I tried to chip
We
in.
absolutely work as a team. Mr. Finelli, that's it. Your 5 minutes are up. I'm sorry. Could you please sit down? Thank you.
Please, in the future,
Mr. Finelli?
5-minute thing on me when you let other people stand up here for 15 minutes.
Well, Mr. Finelli, you're very combative at times, and I have to tell you that, you know, I don't appreciate it, and I don't think anybody else up here appreciates it.
Getting combative when I ask you a simple question. Are you going to operate the school as an elementary school now? And you could say yes. I don't know why you wouldn't say yes. It's a simple question.
I thought I expanded on the answer, Mr. Finelli.
I was looking for, yes, we're going to operate as an elementary school. That's all I asked you. You couldn't answer that. There are a couple other questions.
Okay.
Ms. Cantilla,
Yes.
if Ms. Pontearo wants more mentoring programs and things like that, I'd be happy. I'd volunteer for that, as well as the seniors too, whatever they want as well, as far as, you know, technical skills. Not that I'm not technical, but I'd be happy to figure out a solution for it. And I think that's
Absolutely.
it. We can't have enough mentoring programs here in the district
Exactly.
for our
And
kids.
Melinda Murray, 1622 Forge Pond Road, Brick. I just wanted to know what's going on, and maybe I missed something, I could have, I've been in and out a lot. What's going on with the EEC? Are the kids back in there yet?
No, Mrs. Murray, they're not. Mr. Reed, if you'd like to, it's a facility issue?
It's a facility issue because the building wasn't built correctly, so that the mold developed in there. And we've had a lot of studies done, and our architects have, you know, looked at it. And the bottom line is it's going to cost about $1.3 million to fix the building properly because of the way the walls were constructed. So there's no students in there right now, and until we can make it mold-free, it's not going to happen. So that's why we need to use...
For the children that are getting in trouble.
I know, but that's why we need to make sure we're using every other school to its maximum capacity.
Are you allowed to accept volunteer money and volunteer work?
You'd have to ask the business administrator on that.
Volunteer work if they're contractors?
Money, yes. Oh, go ahead, Jeff.
There's the money, man. He's so good at it, too.
No, what Mr. Edwards is saying is correct. I mean, if someone, it's donations of money are fine. Donations of work are somewhat troublesome because you need to have some accountability, and you need to have a contract, and you need to have someone in charge of doing that work. So I mean, it's very difficult to get volunteers in such a force that you'd be able to handle a project like that.
If I could raise you half that money and get you half that work with legal contractors with licenses and all, would you guys take the kids that are lost right now and put them over in the EEC? Will you foot the other half if I could raise you that money? You know I'm real good at raising other people money.
I mean,
would you consider it? Would you board members consider
I'm sure
taking the drug addicts and the alcoholic kids from the schools and putting them in the EEC if I could raise you half that money and half that work?
I mean, I'm sure any proposal that comes in, the board would consider, you know, but quite frankly...
board members, and would you consider it?
Consider everything.
Seriously, though,
Ms.
there's
Cantilla.
a lot of freaking work on me.
Ms.
And if I do it, I want to know
Can I
that you're
respond to that?
seriously considering it.
Mrs. Murray, speaking for myself and the board, if our attorney told us that it was okay to do what you just suggested, I would look into it, yes.
Because we did have the Laurelton School at one point, and then you have Pathways, but like I said, it's still in the same building. Another question for you is, my kid has a 504. His filtering system is not going to mature by the 8th grade. Wish it would, but it's not going to happen. And like you're saying, maybe the classes will get less in size, and then they'll get a better education. That's great. Maybe they won't, though. We do in our middle schools team teaching, right? So we have that like draw curtain thing, like you have at a VFW or something when you rent half the hall. It doesn't filter out the noise. It doesn't filter out, and a lot of times they don't use it because they team teach. So if they're teaching 2 teachers, sometimes an aide, and 50-something kids in a classroom, how much smaller are they really going to go? Now next year I don't have a problem. He's going into the 7th grade. There's 2 classrooms that have the actual walls in between them. So there's like 24 to 25 kids, whatever, in each classroom. And they still kind of team teach because they do 2 subjects with one and a couple of subjects with another, and then they go to their specials. Come 8th grade, which is really a crummy year to have to pull them out and homeschool them, I don't have that option in Lake Rev. And I'm not doing an IEP on something he's going to grow out of. You know what I mean? It's a 504, it's a medical condition, he will grow out of it. Unfortunately, it won't be until adulthood. Where do I start? I spoke with, I did speak with the vice principal, and he said they just don't, you know, they don't have it. So if I needed a wall put up, because my kid's not the only kid, do I have to get in touch with all the parents whose kids' filtering systems aren't up to par and do better in a classroom of 18 to 24 kids than they do with 50-something? See, what happens is, like with these kids, if you're walking by the hallway, he hears you the same as he hears you walking, the same as he hears somebody else writing on the paper, the same as he hears me talking. It doesn't filter out. It just becomes a mush. And it's a whole bunch of them. Now, we had a good year this year because, like I said, we had the wall. Next year, the same thing. I have that option to pick that classroom. I don't know who the teacher will be, but I have the option to pick the classroom. 8th grade, I don't have that option. So, I really don't ask you guys to spend any money, but, you know, I'm going to have to ask this year to try to come up with something for 8th grade in Lake Rev where there's maybe they can switch the classrooms around, and where the 7th grade is this year, those 2 classrooms can be 8th grade classrooms next year, or where the 6th grade is now, without doing any work. I mean, can you seriously consider that? Because I don't know what else to do with him. I don't want to pull him out and homeschool him when he's going into high school. 8th grade's a big deal. He went all this time for graduation. But I don't want to set my kid up for failure. And I understand the way the world's going, everybody, but I don't like that whole team thing anyway with the kids, because I like my kid's grade to be my kid's grade. Not him carrying somebody or somebody carrying him. I want his grade and nobody else's. So even though they still work in little groups, it's not as much, and it's more his grade in that way too. So who do I go to? I already spoke to the vice principal. I mean, he's a very nice man, but he has no say. Spoke to guidance council, again, very nice, but he has no say on whether they can put a wall up or not. That's you guys.
Mrs. Murray, I would suggest, without talking about putting walls up or whatever, Mrs. Russell is our Director of Student Services. I would suggest that you contact Mrs. Russell and speak with her about your child's issues.
And I'm sorry it's so far off, but I figured if something needs to be done, I gotta start now.
Well, she is the person that you should speak with.
Okay, cool.
Okay?
All right, Mrs. Russell, you gonna be around what? All summer? Tuesday? All right. Thank you, guys. Bye.
You're welcome. Mr. Kutan.
Time, 41 Arizona Drive, Brick, New Jersey. I come up here not to criticize, but to praise you. People have been abused so much through the whole year I watch this. I've been almost to every board meeting, and I know you people put a lot of time and effort, work, really put the time in. And it's time that people recognize what you do instead of coming up here and abusing it. And I think you people should have a hand from everybody here for the great job you're supposed to do.
Thank you, Mr. Kutan. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for recognizing our efforts. Anyone else with a question or comment? Seeing none? I have two dates. July 4th, schools are closed, and July 31st is our next regular meeting. Do I have a motion for adjourn?
Motion.
Thank you, Mr.
Second.
Mr. Conti. Thank you, Mr. Reed. Ms. Terry?
Mr. Talty?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Ms. Cusinelli?
Yes.
Ms. Suter?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Ms. Cantillo?
Yes. Good night, everyone.